Good evening and welcome to the Nipissing Township Museum Board meeting of September the 3rd. Okay.
Oh, apologies.
So we'll begin the meeting with the disclosure, any disclosures of pecuniary interest now, or as the meeting progresses. Seeing none. First motion is to approve the minutes of the board meeting of August 6th. We all received those minutes by email, so hopefully you've all had a chance to read through them. Are there any discussions? Seeing none. The motion reads, I need a mover and a seconder for the motion. Steve? And the motion reads that we approve the minutes of the Nipissing Township Museum Board meeting held August 6, 2025 as presented. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, as you know, Jillian's not here this evening because she's not well. So Kim's in the hot seat and will bring us all up to date on everything. So the first update is the financial and visitor statistics.
So I believe I've given everybody a copy of the final report for 2025, September 2025, with the August numbers on it and the revenue to date. There'll be a small amount of revenue come from the trunk sale that is being held on September 13th. But our August totals, the total revenue was for August was $3,518.19. And then the total revenue is $4,707.49. Our biggest revenue generator was our Heritage Day special event of $1,478.70, which was great. And as you can see, all of you were there, and we had so many people there that hung around for the day and enjoyed the activities in that. So that was a great event for everybody. And year over year, there's been changes in the amount of, you can see by the merchandise and the donations. This year, our merchandise was up over last year. I think that was due to the board approving the new merchandise that we had in the shop. Even though the sales were slow, with having the new items in the shop, it did allow people to purchase new shirts and sweatshirts and items at home. And our donations were a little bit down. But our special events were up this year compared to last year. So everything fluctuates, just depending, and you could, speculate, our tea and talk didn't bring in that much because it was so hot that day, but our Heritage Day was up this year. So there's never a rhyme and a reason, but we keep doing what we do to get people out to our events. The visitors in August, it was busier than July. So our total visitors for the season was 369. August, we had 201. So that meant in July, we had 168 visitors total to the museum. And then year over year, you can see the visitor totals changes at the bottom. And Jillian can probably give more of an analysis of that back in the October meeting if you're looking for more information of that. And I think the Heritage Day this was our first year of doing the donations for the food. And I know Gladys and Jane, you worked that table, so maybe you have some input on that and how that went this year.
So it was hard to say. I think we definitely did a little bit better than broke even on the food that was sold. There were people that made, like one gentleman made a $25 donation and took a bottle of water, didn't eat. There were other people that made small donations and ate more food. So it leveled itself out, right? And that's fine. We didn't have anybody question us, or at least I didn't, not at all. It was like, the one thing I think that really impressed me was when we had the little bags of chips for the kids and that, And when the kids were coming up to get their chips or to get another lemonade or something like that, Mom was giving them a quarter and telling them, you have to donate to the museum. And I thought that was really
Oh, that's
important. I
fantastic.
thought that was
Yeah.
really important.
Yeah.
A teaching moment.
Yeah, I thought so. That's the way I thought of it too, rather than mom just going up and paying for a hot dog and a hamburger, right? And so they were, I heard more than one mom say that to their kids. There was one other thing that came up and it had really nothing to do with the food, and that was the scavenger hunt in the tool shed.
Yeah,
There was one item that was not there. So, and apparently Jillian thought, possibly it had been removed from the tool shed and maybe put in the museum or stored away or something like that. And she didn't check the scavenger hunt.
I forget.
So
Yeah.
this one, it was a pot, and this one little girl spent like ages
Oh,
looking for it.
no.
Yeah, no, and then
Yeah.
the mom finally asked, which was great.
Well,
And we apologized and told her not to worry about
I
it.
may
so-
have sent some people over to the church who are looking for a pot because I thought, well, that would be something in the house, not something in the heart.
Yeah, you would think, but because you have that stove in the hardware store. that-
Well, I looked for it in the hardware store. I just assumed it was in the.
Yeah, I don't believe that's where it was. So I did make a comment to Jillian about that it's a great idea. The kids seem to really enjoy it, but we need to make sure that it's up to date and what's on it is actually there for them. But I thought the food side of it, and please express my thanks, and I believe the board's thanks to the fire department for a wonderful job, a job well done. They did a really good job for us. And, it was hard to say, I mean, it says here, there were 45 hot dogs, 23 hamburgers and 30 sausages. Is that what was sold this year?
Yes, that was what was sold, and the hot dogs were more popular this year than in previous years, and they actually had to go and get more hot dogs. So even though initially when we had our discussion before, we debated about it, we all said that, yes, we need the hot dogs. So it was good that we had the hot dogs. So I think they'll be on the menu for future events for sure.
Mm.
So,
I think it went really well.
yeah.
How did you
Oh,
feel?
yeah.
The same?
And then nobody questioned or nobody complained about having, just doing donations or
No.
like
No,
everybody just.
donations always seem to go okay. Sometimes you really benefit from that.
Well, I counted the money before I left, and it was still coming in a little bit, maybe another $20 or something like that. And I know it was over $500.
Yeah, and I think if we worked it out, it was on average like $8 a meal if we did it that way. And as you said, some people gave, more money for a bottle of water and some people did less. So you hope those people maybe it allowed them to have a meal or to enjoy out without feeling they couldn't enjoy a meal if it was a set price. So if we did that for the community, then that's great. So.
And the other thing I think, and I've heard a few people, I haven't seen too many that were there since the event, but the music was very much enjoyed.
It was fantastic.
It was
Always,
very
yeah,
much
always
enjoyed.
fantastic, those
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's definitely something that we need to consider for another year. And God blessed us with great weather too.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that was
That was a
wonderful.
big thing. The
It
weather was
huge.
a really big thing.
It was, it was. So, but I think it was a huge success.
Yeah.
So does anybody else have anything they'd like to share about it? No? Okay, so then, do you want to do the next motion?
So I'll just go
With
down
that?
with the other thing. I'm not sure if she had anything else.
Okay,
Under building and maintenance, if I'm just going down with the visitor, statistics, and then building and maintenance. At this time, there's no updates. We're still looking at other options in terms of the museum foundation, to see what we can do. There's other grants out there. There was one grant that we were really hopeful for, but when I looked at it, it had to be a historically significant building and it couldn't be used for administrative purposes. So that puts the office building out because it's not a historical building and it's used for administrative purposes. So it's used as an office. So I can't apply for that one. So we're still looking at other options to see what may happen there. So we'll just keep our fingers crossed and keep moving forward, with that one.
Sorry,
Yes.
can I just ask, we have a quote for that though, right? Or a rough estimate or
We have a
something?
rough estimate. The last time we did a quote, it was to take the building, off the block and put it on, a slab foundation. We've done it both ways with repairing the block and doing different things and the last one we did was to put it on a slab foundation. So you'd have to lift the building up, put it on a slab and that, so that we wouldn't have to be looking at doing this again going forward.
So I'll ask the counselor at the table that the money that we had in our budget this year, that we haven't used because we didn't get any grant money, and we did put some money in our budget for that repair, right?
The only money that was in for like the major capital was allocated, was like if we'd received the grant. So like there's a small amount, I believe, in like reserve, but I'd have to go back to the budget. I don't recall what was in the
Okay.
budget for that.
So we'll carry that whatever little bit of money it is, we can carry it forward though if it's not used.
Oh, yes.
Till next
Yeah.
year, right?
And we will try and find some budget money as well, but, you know,
No, understanding,
We have
it's
constraints
just that
there.
if there is money that, oh, I understand that too. But if there's money that was put aside, no matter how small it is, I just want to be sure that it moves forward. It doesn't get lost, because that happens sometimes. Because we didn't get the grant money. So we just move it forward and that gives us that little bit, and we'll put a little bit more in this next year in the budget, and that'll give us a little bit more to help us with what we have to do when and if we get grant money.
Yeah, I believe there's a reserve for the museum and that just continues to carry forward each year.
Yeah,
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
yeah, it's in the asset management.
Yes.
somewhere.
it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should
Yeah.
be.
I don't
Okay,
have a copy
I
of
just
it, but-
wanted to make sure that that was gonna go the way I assumed it would go.
And then, if I'm just looking down, for the event planning, which will lead into our next motion. There's a trunk sale coming up that's being run by the Recreation Committee on September the 13th. And they have asked the museum to participate, to set up a table, a booth or what have you. Possibly have some of our games there, I believe. Maybe some of the new museum merchandise for purchase and that. Information about the museum for next year. And as well as, there's a motion to come forward, to sell some of the candy that's still remaining at a reduced cost, 30 to 40% off, nearest, around to the nearest like 25 cents, just to make it easier for cash purposes and that. And then to donate any remaining candy from the trunk sale that's not sold to the fire department to be used at their Halloween event that they host every year at either fire hall, and that, so.
Is there a lot left?
I didn't, Jillian would know better, but I think it's much less than last year because the candy sales were not too bad this year. And they ordered a significantly less, smaller amount of candy this year. So we didn't have as many, saltwater taffy flavors. We didn't have as much fudge order this year. So they ordered a reduced amount of candy. So there's not as much left over as well.
Good.
Yeah. So. And then, so I don't know if you want to go on to that motion now, and then I can talk about the Remembrance Day event.
So I have a motion, in front of me for, as Kim just said, in regards to the candy. So I will need a mover and a seconder before we have a discussion. Debbie? Mary?
I'll move it. Where?
Yeah. So the motion reads that the Nipissing Township Museum sell the remaining candy from the museum at a reduced price at the recreation trunk sale on September the 13th, 2025, and that any remaining candy be donated to the Township of Nipissing Fire Department for their Halloween event. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. I do have a question about the trunk sale, however.
Yes.
Because Jillian is now back at the landfill.
I don't know if she's back as of that date. She has a few weeks to close up the museum.
Oh,
So she may still be closing up, and that would be one of her times that she could still be available to be at the trunk sale.
okay.
But I can confirm with her. I didn't want to bother her too much while she's not feeling well right
No,
now.
absolutely. And what time is the trunk sale?
I believe it is set up at either 8 or 8:30, and it either starts at 8:30 or at 9. I
It
know.
starts at- I think it's 9 to 1, but I might
Is
be
it-
wrong.
Yeah.
That's when the music is 9 to 1, because I saw they put out a post.
Yeah, so it might be then you can start setting up at 8:30. I think it's a half an hour ahead of time that the vendors can come and start, so it might be a 9 to 1 event,
Okay,
in
I'm pretty
Heritage
sure
Park.
it's 9.
Yeah,
yeah,
and then, everybody gets a 10 by 10 square. It's free to come and sell your wares. And then whatever you don't sell, you bring home, and then the museum would just have a table there. So,
perfect.
yeah, and then they can,
Just, so anybody that can go and give Jillian a hand, and that would be great.
So for the other people there, is that just open to anybody?
yes, if you
It's
would like.
not just organizations or anything?
No, it can
Okay.
be, we have people come because it's difficult to do a garage sale, harder to have, so this is sort of a community garage sale. So people can bring, sometimes people have newer items that they've made, sometimes it's just, I need
It's
to
a little
clean
bit
out
of everything.
a little bit of
bit of
everything. I need
okay.
to clean out my garage or my basement, so I'm gonna bring it here.
That's what I did last year.
Yeah.
Nobody's told me I have to do it yet this year.
So, and they bring you have to bring, and we recommend, because it is an open space, to bring a tent in that. You can bring a portable tent and what
Is
have you.
that just like the one they did last year on Heritage Day then?
It was the next month. We did it in September. We called it a community fall festival. So.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I remember it was there though. I
Yes,
remember it
yeah,
was
and the
there, yeah.
museum did an event as well. This year, they're just doing it as a trunk sale, and the museum's just participating by putting in a table.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay,
Then the next event is the Remembrance Day program. So as you recall, we had talked about doing an event here on November the 2nd. Jillian's been working really hard trying to plan that. As you know, the summer was very busy with the events that we did plan, and trying to coordinate an event when Jillian's back at her other job, and trying to coordinate a winter event is becoming a little challenging, and trying to organize that. So we've been trying to come up with another way and rethinking how we may be able to still coordinate a Remembrance Day event. And we did receive authorization from council to apply for the grant through the, I think it's the community engagement through the federal government, which we can still apply for, but we can shift our event and do a traveling interactive exhibit. So this could be an exhibit that could be placed in, a trunk, a bin or what have you, that a board member or a volunteer could take with information to the school, to the library, to a guide group, to a scout group, to still give the Remembrance Day experience, to give information, still have that. I think Jillian had talked about making those choices that, soldiers might have had to make, or somebody might have to make back in, that was in the war times, and then find out what happened to somebody, if they've made those choices, and then about somebody in our area, their story. So I think that's what she's looking at. That's something that is doable in the time that she has left at the museum, as well as that she could work on while being at the landfill, and I could support a bit while being at the office, and whatever support the board might be able to offer her. Trying to do all of that when you have a short amount of time, while trying to get cataloging done and everything is, fitting everything in gets to be, a lot with the exhibits and trying to do the special events. It was great to see so many people out at Heritage Day and the basket making and the butter making, but all of those are very intensive and involved to make sure that they get out and those types of things. So trying to shift to do something if we want to still do a Remembrance Day event, and what the board thinks and would like to support going forward.
the concern is that we need, if people are willing, if board members are willing to do it, we would need to have a couple hours with Jillian to find out exactly what she wants us to say. And the other thing, of course, is, if you commit to doing it, you have to be prepared to go. And because if Jillian sets up these guide groups, scout groups, youth groups, schools, and then we don't have somebody that's willing to go to them, that becomes an issue. So
Yeah, everybody has to be committed to go.
absolutely, absolutely. And I don't know how long that, I mean, there's a little bit of information I think that's required, because I don't know what kind of a commitment time-wise that it is.
And that part, I don't think she's worked out, and she could probably give us more information in October, but then we're getting very close to the end time. I'm sure I can get her to, email the committee, in between time. We have a motion to go forward to change the event from the November 2nd, event here at the community center to, a traveling exhibit. Because that would allow us for her to start to prepare it or to look at it. And it doesn't have to be, huge. It can be something small. It might be something that is more instructional, that whomever is the leader of that group or that youth program or wherever might be able to carry out if there's information there. I'm not sure what her exact thoughts are on it. I just don't think she wanted to give up on the idea totally, because we had talked about offering this type of event.
Well, if she puts a package together, I wouldn't have a problem delivering it to some of the groups.
Okay,
Yeah, making the assumption that the groups can lead like that would mean that potentially the leaders would have to do it. So, but until we know a little bit more about what she's planning, it's hard
Yeah.
because she's not here.
Or even doing a presentation.
But I don't have a problem doing a presentation either, but
I
I
don't
would have
either,
to
but-
have some kind of training, because I don't know. I haven't been up here. I've only been here for 6 years, so I don't have the history in Nipissing that I had in
No.
Dufferin, so.
Well, in another life, I was a scout
No,
leader
no,
in Boston, so.
No, so it's not like I can go in and, I mean, I'm fairly good at making people think I know what I'm talking about, but, like if we're
But we
gonna do
should
it.
just be able to follow a schedule of some sort anyway.
Yeah, it would be great. But again, the time commitment is a concern, because I wouldn't imagine it would be for too long.
no, I
Into
would
a
imagine,
classroom for 20 minutes or something like
Yes.
that. I
Yeah.
don't imagine it would be
Well,
an
even
all
if
day
it was
thing.
half an
or-
hour, or
Yeah,
even an
yeah.
hour wouldn't be
No, it wouldn't be.
but any longer than that.
I've been known to be able to talk for 20 minutes. That's Bonnie.
So, and it would also change the format a little, because Jillian was initially thinking about making some food,
right, so
and that won't happen.
that's right. And so, but we can still apply, for the grant, for the traveling part, for the interactive, which might help with any supplies or what have you. We haven't looked into that part of it. But this would just allow us, if the board wants to go to this route, for us to plan this way. And then what I can do if it goes through is Jillian can, even though we're not having a meeting, she can email all of the board, especially those that are interested in saying, yes, they're available to, possibly go to the group to, present it, to deliver it, to answer some questions, to say, start here, go here, and go, this is the story to read afterwards, after they've made those choices, if that's what it is. To help that way. Then Jillian could maybe give some more information once she has some direction, and then when we have our October meeting,
Then we can
yes,
decide we can decide on the rest of it, whether we're going to do a traveling.
yeah,
Yeah.
or whether it's something that, the other thing too is even though she may put it out to the groups, we may send it to 10 groups and only get response from 2, and you may get response from 1, right? You
Yeah.
know, the Powassan Library, as we had Mary, I think, or maybe it
I
was
went.
Eugene, you know, they had done great advertising for that games night, and we had a couple of kids come. Now, I know it was a terribly stormy,
poured.
rainy night, so it's hard to get people to go out.
But the scout group or whatever it was came in and there were like 30 kids there. So it wasn't the weather that kept them away.
Yeah,
That would be the only other issue for me personally, would be, I don't like driving at night anymore. So that would be, but I mean, as long as it was not too out of the way, I would be okay, but it depends on where, I mean, it depends on what it is, but I think we need a bit more information, so, but I do agree that we could possibly change it to a traveling exhibit and see where it goes.
and then once we get more information, I can get Jillian to at least send something rough out to the board, and then we can have more discussion in October if the board's open to that. And go from there.
Okay, so after having that discussion, then I have a motion regarding the November the 2nd event. I'll need a mover and a seconder. Steve, Debbie? So the motion reads that the Nipissing Township Museum modify the Remembrance Day event schedule for November 2nd, 2025 at the Township of Nipissing Community Center to a traveling exhibit. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Okay. We are at the artifact status report, and that came on a separate sheet to everybody.
So Jillian put out a pretty extensive report that she's had some inquiries from people who would like to donate a number of items to the museum. So there's a couple up for discussions, and then there's one for a motion that was brought forward from our last meeting. So the first one is a horse-drawn road grader, which was used to grade the roads in our township back in 1929. Came from a dealership in Powassan before the current owner. It's presently in good condition and has been restored. Jillian hasn't seen a picture of this grader that has been offered to us. But it was shipped by rail here, and at the time, many people that were starting to purchase lots and build cottages, so the grader's owner used it to help keep his farm afloat while using the grader to service the new roads. If the board decided to accept it, it would require somewhere indoors to be stored. And as we discussed at our last board meeting, storage space is at a premium at our museum. And I would imagine this is of suitable
grader?
size.
It's from here to that wall long.
I would imagine so,
Oh, it's huge.
It's gonna be short anyway.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so raising funds for it or building a shed for it would be another commitment. And we already have, I'm not sure what the apparatus that is behind the current Harlan's hut. I was trying to remember the name. There's something that's stored behind.
Yeah, the thrasher.
That's what it was. I was trying to remember the name of it today. That's already stored back there,
I
so,
sold a thrasher once to
Yeah.
somebody in this room,
okay.
1903 case. Somebody gave it to her husband for a gift. Or it's at the Clark House Museum, one or the other.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Well, there is no Clark House Museum anymore.
There used to be.
Yeah, no, I know.
So,
Yeah.
and while it does have historical significance to the township, it's our facilities that, you know, our lack of facilities to store it, that really impedes us. So,
It's unfortunate because it's so unique, but it's a huge piece of equipment.
yeah, it's, and our museum, when I look at our museum, I look at it, it's very quaint. Like I always think of it as having smaller artifacts, and even the things in the hardware store, tools and smaller pieces of equipment. I don't have the right terms. Jillian's probably cringing right now, but, you know, it's not an industrial or farm pieces that are large that can be stored here. So again, it is up to the board, but Jillian is recommending to not accept it, you know, for a variety of reasons. So, but I'll leave that up to you and to have some discussion now and to let me know whether a motion needs to come back at the next meeting.
But whether we accept it or not, it has to be done by motion, does it not? Or do you not do that if it's not accepted?
If there's a discussion now, it's just a discussion about it. I looked at it when we do, I kind of looked at it when we do correspondence with council. They'll pull it whether they want it to come back to accept or to move
Oh,
something.
okay.
So that's how I was sort of looking at it.
That's fine.
But if you want it to be on record that we've not done it because we have to get back to this person, I can bring it back to deny it too. That's fine.
Well, I was thinking, you know, one day, sometime in the distant future, but not now. So how do you go about that?
Well, the only thing we can do is say that unfortunately, at this time, we have nowhere that we can store it. And we're not able to accept it, the generous donation. Hopefully at some point in time in the future that we'll be able to do that. I mean, that's all you really can do, right?
Yeah.
Leave it open. So that-
Leave it open. And then if he goes and asks another museum and they say, yes, we'll take it, then unfortunately that makes it our loss.
It is what
right?
it is, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
We'll
So-
never be able to demonstrate its use.
yeah, so are we gonna accept, Jillian's recommendation and not to accept? And ask him if she can send a letter to the gentleman?
So I could bring it back for a motion to say that we won't accept, but to send a letter to say not at this time, if that's what the board wants.
Yeah, I think that's a
Okay.
good idea. We'll
Yeah.
do that in October. I think it's the polite thing to do when people offer you something for your museum. If you're not gonna take it, is just to say, thank you, we really appreciate it, but not at this time.
Yeah,
I think that's
explain, yeah.
just,
Yeah.
I think that's just the right thing to do.
Well, it would be wrong of us to accept it and then stick it outside,
Yeah.
Oh, my God, yeah.
you know. That would be,
Maybe somebody will win the Powerball down in the States and have billions of dollars that they want to spend somewhere other than in the United States, and they'll give it to us.
Okay. I didn't do a lot of reading about this sash, but it was a sash related to the Royal Black Institute, also called the Royal Black Order, which has affiliations with the Freemasons. It was from either her grandfather, Richard Yao, or a pioneer settler in Port Loring, or from Richard's father, who was originally from Ireland. The Royal Black Order is a progression of the Orange Order and members of the Royal Black Institution for those that have achieved the Royal Arch Purple degree within the Orange Order first. The Royal Orange Order group in Loring started in 1915, and they would hold picnics near the site of Sweet Logs Cabin Camp and Donnelly's Mill on Wilson Lake. The group would also march through Port Loring on their way from Spring Creek to Loring. Richard and his wife settled in Port Loring in 1894, and the Orange Order in Arnstein and Nipissing also had a Loyal Orange Lodge. Jillian believes the Orange Hall was used to be situated where the museum office is currently, and we do not have a drum from, and we do have a drum from the Royal Orange Lodge already on display in the church. We could find space near it through other, near the other religious artifacts from our collections. It seems unlikely the sash originated in our area. Although the man who it belonged to may have joined the local order and may still have worn the sash. She's suggesting that the donor try to offer it to another museum and plus possibly one in Ireland. So she's recommending it doesn't have much local significance to our area.
Would there isn't currently still, a lodge in Port Loring, I'm guessing, right?
I don't think so.
No. the
I
only
don't know that-
lodge left is in was.
That's a
Right
Masonic.
on, that's Masonic.
lodge.
Yeah, but they're
Is that
all,
one?
they're,
They're
well,
kind of all the same.
not if you're in Ireland, but they are kind of all one. So where it says the Orange Hall used to be situated where the museum office is currently. Which museum is she referring to?
Ours,
Oh, ours. Oh, okay.
this museum, I think. So she's
Okay.
talking about it was over there beside the. I know I've seen a picture of the ladies of the Orange Lodge here marching
Yes.
over in that area. with
Now,
the-
there still is the Orange Lodge in Powassan, but they share the Masonic, they share space with the Masonic Lodge.
Oh,
And that might be an option to give them, to ask them if they want it to stay local, that, if they want it to stay local, that they contact the Masonic Lodge in Powassan and see if there's an interest there. At least it would stay local. It's one of the few lodges that we know is still open, right? So Jillian has again recommended that we don't accept it, so if we could do the same for this as we did for the grader and just bring it back. So we can say that we're not gonna accept it and send a letter to Miss Evers with the option of maybe looking into the Masonic Lodge or Ireland, and thanking her. Sorry, I know that's extra work for you.
Oh, it's okay. Is that what?
Is
Bring
everybody
it back
okay with
the
that?
same
Yeah,
like
I'm
the
okay with
grader?
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other one is the 12 postcards were offered by the North Bay Museum of Early Powassan Buildings. They're 4x6. We haven't received any pictures as of yet. If Jillian had received them in an email, she would have forwarded them to me, but I don't have anything
So we
as of
just-
yet.
Put it as pending.
So I can defer this one to the next meeting, so. And then the last one is
The psychrometer?
the psychrometer, which was deferred from the last meeting, is now a motion to either accept or to deny it. So Jillian said in her write-up here that she did get a comment from somebody on Facebook that in the early 80s, he worked at a local store in North Bay. And one of the workers there would come down with one of those to see if they were complaining about the heat, that the AC worked and really feel cool if you still like to use it that way, but it wasn't used like locally in our area is what she's getting at, so.
I just looked up and how to use it,
Yeah,
because I'm looking at it and I'm going, well, I kind of have an idea, but I was wrong. So to use a sling psychrometer, first wet the wick, covering the wet bulb. So it's got a wet bulb and a dry bulb on it. Next, twirl the device for about 1 to 1.5 minutes or until the wet bulb temperature reading is stable. Then you read both the wet bulb and the dry bulb temperature immediately. Finally, use these readings and a psychrometric chart to find the relative humidity to your dew point. So it's no good without a psychrometric chart, but I'm sure that we could find one of those too. it would be an interesting artifact. It was one,
Proceed. Talk about it.
well, it's going in the hardware store
Yeah,
anyway,
it'll
come
give you
on.
something.
It's a new thing.
I'm just reading about Jamie Tipner's remarks, so. On the bottom there.
Yeah, that's what I had indicated
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Down on Oak Street, where Beaver Lumber used to be.
Yeah, I mean, that was in the 1980s, it's not really an old.
yeah, and I guess it's just Jillian was
Oh,
looking
this
at whether
here
it was
old.
relevant, that this
Yeah,
item
Yeah.
was relevant to the
This
township.
area.
This
Yeah,
area,
because
yes.
this came out in the 1700s.
Yeah, but. if these-
Well, then it wasn't relative here, but it could have been after that.
Well, this was what we had the discussion about is what, who would use it, right? And we were talking about in barns when the humidity builds up and you,
Yeah.
that's the.
And the hay
that's-
mow and, yeah.
Yeah, that and the hay mow and all that, that's the instrument, so, I
For a farmer, that would have been an expensive instrument, though.
very,
Very
I guess
probably.
that's why there wasn't, maybe wasn't any of them had it.
well, I'm
Yeah,
thinking that
Just the ones that
in
were well
1980,
built.
in the early
That's why
eighties,
barns
that
used to go
was
up in
probably
flames.
unique. It probably was just left in the store, right? It probably wasn't something that they used.
I can see, say, one over,
Yeah. Yeah,
burner.
I mean, there was. Stories had farms, big farms. I don't know, they had big farms, but.
But maybe one farmer had one
And then everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody was like the combines and when they came
Yeah.
up with combines and stuff.
For the
One
buyers.
had it, then they did it, ran around and did it for everybody, used it for everybody.
You know, maybe they know something. I don't know. You'd have to ask.
Well, what, like, for instance, what Jamie was saying here, the guy who owned Cartwright
Had one,
had one. He had one. It's not something he had on the shelf.
no.
He had one.
Yeah.
Specialty tool, you know,
I guess we can ask.
and he,
Well, we
I
can,
don't know.
we can defer it again, but, this, we had the discussion last time, we deferred it last time. And she did put it out on to try to get more information. It's up to the
it's not
board.
very big.
It's up to the board. I would,
Why don't you ask? I can give you buyer's might know.
Ask who?
I could get Rod to ask him. I don't really.
To ask who?
Give you buyers, like, cause they've had that farm. Lloyd, so it's Lloyd's farm now.
Lloyd's now, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
Oh,
Lorney's now,
or Lord, yeah, you're right.
it's
Lawrence.
Lorney's farm now.
Yeah.
Lloyd's still there, but he
Yeah.
doesn't do much farming anymore.
So, maybe that might be the only one I would think that's been there for years and years and years.
The only-
Lloyd was born there and he's
Mhm.
90 something,
So it's old.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's probably,
I don't know. I could ask if I could take that picture and say, did you ever see one of those? Did you use?
well, Jamie knew what it was.
Yeah.
That's mine.
and he's not that old,
No, Jamie's not, no.
Jamie's not, no.
He was probably in the 1980s.
but you know, if you really wanted to find out this, I would imagine that a trip to Cartwright's or whoever has now got that, or like a lumber place, and find out who is the old guy that was there. I don't mean literally, I mean, find out who a person that knew all that stuff, who it was,
Oh, yeah.
like for that company, like who was the person who,
Well, Beaver Lumber was franchised and Cartwright's had a Beaver Lumber franchise.
And
okay,
they're no more.
They're gone.
so, but
So that home hardware, who is that?
It'd be
what is that?
Cashways
Cash-
now. Rona.
Oh, Corona, okay.
yeah, so I'm just wondering if that way you could find out if there is somebody who still knows about that because their father was something in,
I don't think it had
Right,
anything
well-
to do with the fact that it was a hardware store. I think it just happened that they had one there. I
Yeah,
don't
oh,
think
yeah,
it was
yeah.
something that they sold.
But I could.
No, I don't think they sold, doesn't sound like they did.
No. No, but I guess Why
Even
do
though
we
because he
need
was
to
the
know?
manager of Rowan.
I think that
Yeah,
the more the matter is the board has to decide whether we want to
gonna
defer
table
this or we want to we want to bring it to a motion to either accept or deny it.
What do you think, Steve?
I move that we accept it. Just because it's not large, it's got a kind of a unique operational history, and I will find the chart.
So you've got to
I
move,
need a seconder for that motion. Mary? Okay, so without any further discussion at this point, that the psychrometer from Mike Brewers be accepted for donation to the Nipissing Township Museum and be added to the collections catalog. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, carried.
Got it.
Now Steve can have some fun.
Now you get to play with it, Steve.
Yeah.
Figure out how it works. Let us know.
We'll be waiting for the show for the next
Yeah.
time.
Okay.
Heritage Day.
Yeah, Heritage Day next year, you better have it figured
I've
out.
always had a real interest in old tools. Like I have scythes and sickles.
Yeah.
And I use it.
on to the next one.
Yeah, okay, so moving along then, the next item is the exhibits.
So Jillian didn't have too much update. As you saw on Heritage Day, the students had the maple syrup exhibit that they had in the, that was in the hardware store. And they had there was another poster that they had created this year that was posted up in that. And they also had some more maps that were printed in that people could buy. I'm not sure if she sold any in that to people that were coming in. So those were some of them, and those exhibits will now be permanent that were made this year are being left permanent in the hardware store. Not sure if they'll be left there or moved into the church or what have you. Mary, was there any new exhibits in the church this year? When you were in there, do you recall?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, I can't remember if they were doing one in there and I forgot.
I know that one that was new last year was back
Yeah.
again, but yeah.
That was it. Okay, perfect. Okay,
What is happening with the Snakes and Ladders game?
in terms of,
Well, I understood when we started discussing it earlier in the year that the plan was to have it made so it could go in the bags for the Santa run.
so I believe it is, so we had a discussion earlier this week at the office. They're looking at sourcing it to be made. That would be, those costs would be covered out of the Christmas run funds, not the museum board funds. And depending on how it gets printed in that, it might be something that we can bring one to the board for next year to see how it looks in that, to see if we want to have them printed for sale in the store for next year.
Perfect.
So,
Just to keep us up to date,
Yeah.
right?
yeah.
Great. That's
So I
great.
think they are gonna order one to see how it comes before they order enough for all the families, because they wanna see, like, get a tester. It's different than ordering a sweatshirt or a t-shirt or what have you.
Yeah.
So I think that you wanna order one to make sure it goes well. I think that was the last
Okay.
of the discussions for that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no
And
problem.
the strategic plan update, I would imagine is,
So we don't, there's a couple of things with that. So when we look at the workshops next year, looking at trying to decide, do we do more of the, looking at our events so that staffing time and that is planned so that we can still ensure that cataloging gets done throughout the season. As well as, do we have two big events like the Tea and Talk and Heritage Day, whether it's those events, I'm just using those as examples from this year. Or do we look at having one big event and a couple of smaller events? Jillian also talked about in her notes of limiting or reducing the number of registrants. You can see from the, I think on one of the reports, she has the number of people that came to some of the registrants in the amounts. I think one of our events, we had the Tea and Talk had 28 people, our butter making had 13, our basket making had 27. That's a lot of people to organize and teach if somebody's struggling. So do you limit that to 10? That type of thing.
The basket making, I was talking to Jillian about that.
Yes,
Some of the people didn't come
yes,
because there was a little kerfuffle about the time of day.
okay,
So it was at 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock or something, and they all thought it was at 5 o'clock, or not
Oh.
all, some of them.
okay,
So there were a number of them, like 7 or 8 of them, that didn't come to it. And Jillian said, which is good because they ran out of material. They
Okay.
would have brought
Brought
out
out of
They
material.
just had enough for the 27 people that showed up.
right,
So, and she wants more material for next year, or is going to try and
Right.
amass enough material for next year, because her concern is that could be popular,
right.
and
And we did have
Takes off.
registrants from, other communities, like people drove a distance to come from it. It
Mhm.
wasn't just people from our community, which was great because they heard their friends coming, so they invited other people, which was great to get people to come
Yeah.
and join.
And young and old.
Yes, yeah,
But
So-
you could put a limit, like
yes,
a lot of places do.
Well,
they sure do.
I thought you said like pre-purchase. I discussed with her a little bit, and she said, pre-purchase or prepaying.
Yes,
So then those people who are prepaying, they're committed to coming then.
That's right.
They know the time then. It's more carved in stone than just to show up. And if they prepay, then she knows what materials she needs
Exactly.
beforehand.
Yeah.
So she can amass all her materials beforehand.
That
She
makes
will-
sense.
She will have enough for however many people are there.
And if she got 30 people registered for it, she could split it into
Yeah.
two. Like do any, I get that it would.
Or
take
just
it-
get somebody else to help.
Yeah,
do
have,
something.
But no
well,
one had to
the
do it.
summer
Yeah.
students were there.
they
weren't
were helping, so that's
Yeah.
the other, point, is if there's board members that are able to come out and help at those events too, because along with having the event is, she still gets people coming for tours, or people are staying for the tours afterwards. So it gets busy along with just the event and the extra things that are happening also still that have to happen at the museum. So as we look at planning the events next year, thinking about not just the big events that we have to help out with, but what other events that people may be able to assist at. But I think limiting, the numbers may help, whether it's people didn't always know that it was an outside event, and on one of those days, it was pretty hot to be sitting outside, so we need to think about that when we're advertising the events and such going forward. So as we plan, and do our budgeting for next year, we'll think about that as the board, or can think about that as we start to plan. The other thing that Jillian wanted to, and she'll have a report coming back at the next meeting, is staffing for next year. When do we want to look at opening? So that this can be brought to council, because it'll be a council decision for the budgeting, is do we want to open at the beginning of June with our regular hours, with the manager, Jillian, and a student, and then they can get cataloging and preparing, but also be able to invite those special interest groups in. The school could come over, other schools could come, you could offer it out to, seniors home, the Probus Club came the one time, I think Steve, you helped out with that one. Any other groups could come in to do that type of activity, but then some of that prepping for those activities could be done before the busy season starts, where you're getting into the events and they're trying to cram it into the 2 months. The other option is to open for some in early May, on the weekends before the June start time. So, just looking for some direction, and Jillian will come with a report to the board, or then we go back to just weekends, and then starting the regular season in July is what we did this year. So Jillian will come to look for a report so that she can go to give that to, Chris to come to council for it, to allow for planning, so.
So that'll come forward either in October or November, because council will need that
Before the budget.
before the
meeting.
budget meeting,
Yes,
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah. So that's just food for thought, for discussion, as we go forward. And I don't think there was anything else, on those ones.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to bring up in the meeting before I call for the adjournment? Okay, I need a mover and a seconder for the adjournment. Everybody always wants to be on that one.
55.
Thank you. All right, but the board meeting is hereby adjourned, moved by Gladys and seconded by Mary. That the board meeting is hereby adjourned at 6:55 PM and the next meeting will be held Wednesday, October the 1st, 2025 at 6 PM. All in favor? Carried. Great, thank you.
October 1st.